Okay guys, here we go. Paradox Twisted. And you will see that there is no additional challenge needed. LOL. Because this guy is a beast. But I'm taking it on because I'm sure somebody would like to see it. And because I think it looks really cool. So it is done on a hexagon base. So first you're going to draw your hexagons. That for me is a challenge in and of itself. And then inside the hexagon we are going to do paradox. Now you guys know how to do paradox. You're going to go from, I always go thin, thick. I always think to myself, thin, thick, thin, thick. I'm going to do one of these at a time. I'm not going to do them all like this where it goes 1, 1, 1. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do one hexagon at a time. But then where you land, you're going to start and you're going to go thin, thick to about that same spot on the next page, on the next one. And then once again, where you land, you go from thin to thick. You make it a little bit wider. And so forth and so on, and you keep going around and around and around until it is filled in as big as you want it to be. And that is what we're aiming for right there. Sorry about the glare. It's a very weird cloudy day today, so I'm not getting good sunshine. And so then there's the sample with lots of them. And it's just super cool. Look at it all up close like that. Isn't that cool? I'm looking forward to doing this. But I know that I'm going to have a heck of a time with the hexagon grid. And I don't mind if it's kind of wonky. So I went through all of the hexagon grid patterns on the site. So what I did is I went to the main page and I used the search engine and I clicked on hexagon grid, and there was a bunch of them. But what I chose, I'm going to show you on my other phone. I chose Starry as the way to learn how to draw the hexagon grid. Now theirs is really wonky. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. I know this phone is not as easy to see as the other one. But what they did here is they drew zigzags, and then opposite that they did the zigzag going the other way with a big space between, and here, see that? And then they went and put these straight lines going this way. I think that's how I want to build it. There's other ways you can build your grid. Let me see if I can go back a page here. Oops, too far. Dang it. Oh yeah, so there's different ways you can build your hexagon, like tumbling blocks shows it going this way, where you draw the straight lines first and then connect with the zigzags and then come down and do more straight lines and more zigzags. I mean, you can do that. That will work. This one shows it being drawn with a pencil grid first, and then lines that like are straight this way, alternating, and then connecting them with the zigzags. That also works so that you end up with your hexagon here. I just went through all of these hexagon based patterns to try to figure out where I want to create the hexagon, or you could just go and get the hexagon template and just draw it out using the hexagon template. All of those will work. I just decided that that zigzaggy one was probably the best for me and my brain. So that one is called Starry. There it is again, if you want to look it up. And that's how I am going to choose to try to figure this out on my page. Ooh. I don't have internet right now. Fudge. All right, where'd it go? Starry, Starry, Starry. There it is. Okay, I'll just have to look at it small. All right, so I'm gonna turn on my light so now you guys can see, and I get rid of all of these shadows. Love to get rid of the shadows. And so I think what I'm going to do is, I don't want a lot of them. I want them nice and big. So I'm going to make zigzags. I'm going to start over here. I think I'm going to do one. I think I'm going to do like that. I'm going to do a zigzag along this line, along this line, along this line, and along this line. Something like that. I don't know if you can see how far apart those are. They're pretty good size apart. So let me do a zigzag kind of here. If I do zig, zag, I'm doing them pretty big because I want big spaces to draw inside of. And then here coming this way, like this. I could get out some sort of ruler or template or something. I absolutely could, but you know, I don't mind that it's a little off. I just want it kind of, sort of. Does that make sense? And you might not be able to see what I'm drawing. I'm gonna show it to you a little closer once I'm done. But I'm just kind of eyeballing the zigzag where I think it might go. Can you see that? There. Maybe if I do it this angle. I'm not getting a lot of sun in my window today. It's all very cloudy and overcast. And so you're not getting a real good feel for it. And then if I go and put the lines going this way, I think that's pretty good. Like that. So there's my honeycomb pattern. And now I will put it in regular pen so you can see it. And then I'll erase all my lines. So what size pen? I think I want to use a fairly small one. We're just going to go down to, I really want an 01 size today. Do I have an 01 size? I use my 01s a lot and I tend to use them up. So I'm not sure I have an 01. There's an 01. Is that an 01 or is that a, no, that's an 01. Okay. So this particular one happens to be this brand. I don't know where I got it from. There was a whole set of them I bought sometime. Some people keep asking me about pens and pen brands. I change them all the time. Like right here next to me on my desk, I have, of course, this brand that I just grabbed. I have this brand, which is Marabou Fine Liner Graphics. I have this brand, which is STA Pigment Liner. I have Micron on my desk. I mean, I use whatever fine liner I happen to buy that's on sale at the time. I need to buy more fine liners. The thing I look for is that it's water-based, water-resistant. It has to be water-resistant. And if I can, I try to find ones that are also archival or permanent. Not permanent as in they can't be removed because they are water-based, but permanent as in light fast so that they won't fade. Microns in particular will say archival ink on them. And so you know that they are, see this one says micropigment ink for waterproof and fade-proof lines. I try to look for that particular type wording when I'm buying fine liners. But most fine liners now that I found, most of them are that way. They're water resistant and they're archival for fade resisting. So that's what I look for when I'm buying a pen, in case anybody is interested. So I'm going to just do this. This is a thinner pen than I've used recently, but I want that thin line. So I'm actually drawing the zigzags first, just like I did when I drew it in pencil. So I get a nice clean zig. So what have you guys been watching lately? We've been on Amazon Prime watching a bunch of stuff. We've been on Disney Plus watching a bunch of stuff. Tell me what you guys have found that's been interesting. Do not tell me about that little Tiger King, whatever. I'm not going to watch that. Not my thing. But let me know. I prefer, I like decorating shows. I like things like we found one called Down Home Dickering or something like that. Something Dickering. Don't even remember the name of it, but apparently it's these guys who barter for stuff in the state of Maine. Well, they're kind of interesting fellas. We like shows that are doing like home decorating, like George to the Rescue, or any of the fix up your property to sell it kind of shows. We like those. We like obviously on YouTube I watch all my art people, Jazza and Nerdy Jackie and Bailey J and Mira Byler and of course Cinnamon Cooney. I watch a lot of YouTube, but we're trying to find things we can do on the big TV. That we both will enjoy. My husband, he'll sit through the art videos, but he doesn't really pay that much attention to them. He just sits in the room with them on. I'd rather find something that we will both enjoy and both watch. We do like also maker kind of shows, like Adam Savage, or any of the ones that are building things and making things out of like concrete or wood. Those kinds of things are interesting to both of us. I prefer them if they have less construction and more design, but I'll watch just about anything at this point. Give me a hint as to what you guys are watching nowadays. Okay, so I am going to start with this one. Going to zoom you in a little bit, and I'm going to turn my page a lot, so I'm going to try really hard not to get out of frame, but if I do, yell at me. I may not hear you, but I'll try my best to keep it in one spot when I'm turning so that it stays kind of in frame. Okay, so you're going to start in a corner and you're going to go thin to thick and just kind of come out. This is how you do paradox. And it doesn't matter what shape you're doing paradox in. I've done a variety of videos about paradox. If you look on my channel and just type in the word paradox, you'll see I've done several paradox videos and how to do it in an odd shape. So I'll go thin to thick, thin to thick. See, I've already done it. I've gone off screen. Thin to thick. And thin to thick. Okay, now I've gone once all the way around, and then you just keep going until you make it the size that you want it. The closer into the middle it gets, I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit because it's too cool. Just that little bit of movement was enough to get me right off the screen, and that wasn't even like a quarter of an inch. So, but the closer you get to the middle, the easier it is to not then turn your page. And people will say, how do you keep your line so straight? Well, I'm not really. If you really look at it up close, it's woggly. Look at that line. That's a woggly line. But from a distance, it doesn't look like a woggly line. But if I, zoom in, see if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus, 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 focus. There it goes. That's a woggly line. It's not straight. And you will probably notice that, you know, this section is smaller than that section, because when I drew my thing, it's not a perfect hexagon, and that's okay. It just is. It is what it is, right? Okay, am I back far enough? Okay, keep going, and you just keep going around until you fill up as far as you want to fill up. So the paradox part is actually not the hard part. The hard part was drawing the dang hexagons. Just keep going. Spinny, spinny. I have forgotten where I started though. I guess it doesn't matter. You won't really notice. The more toward the middle we get, the more that this will kind of end up more of a circle. Or it will look more circular. And now I'm to the point where I can, it's small enough, I can start going like this without really turning it much. Still turn it a little bit because I don't want to twist my hand, but it's getting to the point where I can do it and pay attention to what I'm doing and not lose my place. I think something like that. That'll probably do for about the size that I want it to be. Okay, so that's what it looks like overall. And see how it looks more and more circular as it gets toward the middle. Okay, so let's do the next one. And I started this one this way, so I'm going to make sure I'm doing them all the same way. So maybe I will do this first line on all of them, just so I remember which direction I was going and turning my pattern. Does that make sense? I hope so. And see, we're already 18 minutes in. It's going to be a long video. So I'm going to just go fast. I'm not really going to talk much. And I'm just going to keep turning and going, and so that this doesn't last like forever. But I did that first one nice and slow so you could see what I was doing. There's a guy on YouTube, I don't remember the name, but he his whole channel is doing shapes with paradox. And I think he calls it something magic pattern something. I don't remember now. Now I'm being a little sloppy, and I noticed that my pattern isn't coming out as nice. I really need to not do that. I've been trying to go faster, but see, when you go faster, you tend to be a little less consistent with your lines, with your spacing, and I can see a big difference with this one and this one. So I'm going to have to slow down a little bit, be a little bit more precise, and see, I am going to have to keep turning, which I was hoping I was done with the turning part, because it kind of gets me dizzy. But I really do need to turn so I can be more consistent. When I'm not turning, I'm not consistent. But I just know that wherever I stop last is where I have to put my pen. And then I have to get wider from that. That's good enough. Okay. That centerpiece is about the same size as that one. So I'm going to move on. Just think to yourself, thin to thick, thin to thick, as you turn your page. Small enough yet? No, not quite. Maybe one more time around. That looks about the same. Right? Yep. Okay. Now we can, now that we've got the hang of things, we can do a question. If you had to live the rest of your life in a place that you have never lived in before, where would you live? Where would I live? Well, I've only ever lived in California, so I guess anywhere else besides California would suffice, right? I haven't visited enough places to know where I would want to live, actually. But I think if I had to choose someplace permanently, I would be probably inclined. My first instinct was to say Hawaii. That was my first instinct. This one's coming out better because I'm paying more attention. Really being methodical about my turning my page. See when I did that one and I drew it this way instead of this way? It did a different kind of line. And I can tell that I didn't draw it the same way. It got a little winkle-wonkle to it, which is okay. I mean, you won't notice it in the grand scheme of things, but I can keep a better control over my line if I'm going this other direction. Wonder if I don't know. I'm tempted to fill this all the way to the middle instead of leaving a hole in the middle. I don't know. Okay, that's about the right size. But I am tempted to go closer to the center. I'm going to do the rest of them and then see how I feel about it. Now the reason it's making this twist is because we're doing all of them the same direction. So when they come together, then where they meet, they create this twist. If you did one going the other way, where your first line went this way instead of that way, they wouldn't do that. They would create a fan instead of a twist, which would look completely different. And I explained that on one of my paradox videos as well. How to get the different, there's two different shapes that appear kind of magically as you do paradox. One is the twist and one is the fan. And this one is doing the twist. And it's doing the twist because we're starting every single one of these pieces with the same, going the same direction. I was using my hand to twist the page. Did you see how I was doing that? I was twisting with the hand like that. It's starting to hurt my hand. So I need to now use my fingers and my other hand to turn the page instead. So I stopped twisting my wrist. That was becoming ergonomically not a good idea. It was fine for a short while, but it was starting to hurt. So you want to make sure you're always drawing in a way that you don't hurt yourself, because none of your drawings are important enough to hurt yourself for. Okay, make sure you wiggle out your fingers occasionally so that you're not, don't grip your pen too tight. All of those things are very important to not hurt yourself while you're drawing. Oop, that was a little crooked. Okay, I think that center is about the same size as everybody else. Okay, here we go. Are we ready? Start here. We started here, going this way, so the next one goes here. See, I'm still doing it. I'm tempting to want to turn it with my wrist instead of my fingers. Okay, another question. Let's do another question. If you could keep only one article of clothing you currently own and the rest were to be thrown out, what would you keep? Well, I'm assuming I get to buy more clothes. Basically, they're asking, what's your favorite piece of clothing that you own? One piece of clothing that I would keep. Probably have to be a sentimental one. Probably and I don't wear it very often. I don't know if I wear it at all. But when we went camping one year, family vacation, family reunion type vacation, we made, I made a design for the back of a t-shirt that each family ordered a t-shirt with the same design on the back. And each family ordered a different family color. So one family was orange, one family was green, one family was red, one family was purple, and so forth and so on. But I designed we had been camping at Zion National Park that summer. And I had designed a kind of like a logo kind of thing for the back of the shirt that was just my drawings of some of the rocks, the famous rocks that are there. The different landmarks. And I did like 4 of them there was a round, and I did 4 different quadrants. Each one has a different design in it. I think my husband wears his all the time. His is getting so faded. But I think that's the piece of clothing I wouldn't want to, that one would be the one that would hurt if I had to give it up. I think that's kind of what the question is. All the others is just clothes. For the most part. There are a couple. There are a couple. There's a couple pieces of clothing that, gosh, that would be really hard, because there's a sweater that was my grandma's. And every time I wear it, I think of her. So that one would be also very, very difficult to give up. As a matter of fact, I'd probably give up my Zion one over my grandma's sweater, I would keep my grandma's sweater. So I've already changed my mind. But I'm not much of a fashion person. I really don't care. So the clothes that I do keep would be all sentimental, of that sort of thing. Does that make sense? Probably. All right, this is coming together really well, but I feel like I want to make them smaller in the middle. So I think I will come back and make them each smaller in the middle. I want them to be a tighter center, but they're coming along pretty well. It's just patience, this one, but this one puts you in the zone. If I was to stop talking, I could really get in that zone where you're just not paying attention to anything, not paying attention to the outside world, you just get in that place where it just flows right out of you. You get in that zone. This is one of those patterns that does that to you because it's just repetitive lines. I'm just making the same motion over and over and over again. I'm not even doing anything different. Just this one straight line. Just turning my page. And that puts you in that zone. So you could totally zone out to this. Once you get started, it's not that bad. The worst part was drawing the hexagons. The rest of this isn't, it's simple. It's just paradox. Paradox, I love doing paradox. Paradox is one of my favorites. It just takes a long time, that's all. You have to have patience for it. Is that about the same size? No, it's a little bit bigger. I need to go one more round. I'm not paying attention to where I'm starting and stopping, so I'm not too sure where. I'm just stopping when it looks about right. Oh, this is so pretty. It's just growing into this really pretty thing, isn't it? Okay, new question. If you had to lose one of your 5 senses, which would you give up? I'd give up my sense of taste. If everything just kind of tasted all the same, that would be fine. That would be the one that would be the least annoying, I think, to me. I'm not a big foodie. Matter of fact, I'm very picky. So maybe if I had no taste, then I would just eat anything. It wouldn't matter because it would all taste the same. We wouldn't have a taste. You know, water would taste the same as Brussels sprouts, so it wouldn't make any difference. Although, still, you taste a lot with your nose, and so if I still had smell, I still might not go for the Brussels sprouts. Ugh, they smell awful. My husband's cooking Brussels sprouts. It's like, please do that when I'm at work. Even still, the whole house smells. It's like, can you do that on a day where you can open the windows? Doesn't do it very often. It's a treat for him. So if he goes to a restaurant where they're serving Brussels sprouts, he will absolutely order them, because I don't let... It's not that I don't allow it in the house, it's just... Ugh. He prefers to not make my life uncomfortable. We both do that for each other. If there's something that he doesn't like that I prefer, no matter what it is, if it's just something that it just isn't his thing, and it really bugs him, I won't do it, or watch it, or listen to it, or whatever it is. If he ever said, you know, that annoys me, can you not do that when I'm home? I absolutely wouldn't. That's just a matter of courtesy, for not being selfish, you know. Do something nice for other people. Helps the world go round, right? Simple things. Doesn't have to cost anything. Being nice to other people doesn't cost anything. I don't understand why people are so mean to each other, because it just doesn't cost anything to be nice to one another. And I don't understand, I don't know when it happened that having a differing opinion on something made you a bad person, you know? All right, question here is, do I want to suck those in more? And I think I do. Those are awesome though, aren't they? They are, but I think I want to suck them in a little bit more. Oop, oop, doop, doop, doop. Wrong direction. Let's zoom me back in. I'm going to start with this one, and I think I'm going to mark it with a pencil, the ones that I've started at, so I know where I'm going. All right, let's do more of the center. Well, I should be able to tell what I've done and what I haven't done, shouldn't I? Yes, absolutely. Oh. That's better. Tighter circle, I think, is more what I want to do. Okay. So now I'm going to do this one. And you'll note I have stopped spinning it because it's small enough that I can do that without spinning. Just have to be careful to keep the sizes. Seem to be turning it into a square. I've lost that shape. Maybe that's why they stopped when it got to about that size, because I kind of lost the shape. Well, I'm going to be more careful here. Try not to lose that shape. Try not to turn it into a square, because that's kind of what happened on that last one. I did something wrong and I ended up kind of more of a square instead of the hexagon. It does get much more difficult as you get toward the middle, so you might want to stop sooner. That's probably good enough. Maybe one more round. One more round. Okay. Alrighty, let's do this one. Since I don't know where I left off, I just picked one. You're good until you're about to this size. Once you get about smaller than this, it starts to go kind of wonky. That's good. I'm going to leave that one like that. That made a nice hexagon, so I'm going to leave it just the way it is. This one's already really wonky. Some of them I've made too big here. If they're too big, I'm just going to divide them again. That's good. Whew. All right, I gotta hurry. Running out of time. Because my camera can't go that long. Okay, one more. Okay, that one's kind of gone wonky. I think that's why they stopped it where they stopped it on the pattern. Because if it gets too small, it goes really weird, and it's really hard to do. So don't be like me. Go ahead and just stop it before it gets to this middle part where you go. It just gets too hard to figure out. And it becomes a square. I don't want a square. Okay, good enough. All right, I think we're done. Wow. Look how that ended up. I think I'm going to color in the middles. Just because I think that would look better. And if I want to, I can make that bigger. There. And I can kind of make them have their shape again. By filling them in. Awesome. Okay. I am absolutely happy with how this has turned out. I'm going to give it a little bit. Do I want shading? I don't think I do. I don't think I do. I don't think I want shading on this particular one. Okay, this was Paradox Twisted. Doesn't matter which direction I turn it. I think I want it to live going that way. And you could shade it and you could color it, you could do whatever you want, but I think I'm going to leave it just like that. That came out awesome. It's just a lot of work. So, you know, it's not hard per se. It's just a lot of work. Okay, so you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully we're going to be let loose soon. I don't know. I'm recording this at the beginning of May, so I don't know. The news says we're still going to be at it for a while yet, so I don't know if you're going to be let loose yet or not. But meanwhile, if you're staying at home, do some drawing. Join along with me. Show what you're doing on Pattern Dash Collections on Facebook, or Draw Tangles with Dawn on Facebook. And yeah, I think I'm going to take myself a little break because I've been drawing for some time. And I'll see you guys next week. Next week we're going to do CPT weaving, no tangle, and La Fleur. Those are the 3 that I have decided for next week. So if you want to think ahead, please go for it. And I will see you guys on the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.